So let's see what TheOne is going to bust out here in game number 2. They definitely need to come up with a better solution because up to this point, once again, you could see BTG does not lose a lot of structures. And that is the second time that they faced a quote-unquote top 3, top 4 team in the league. The one actually being a top 2 team up to this point, I had believed. And they don't lose a single structure. They were dismantling CE twice in a row, and now they seem to continue this trend against TheOne as well.
I think that's actually... They've definitely lost kills, but I'm pretty sure they haven't actually lost structures in the last 4 series we've cast with them.
I think you might be onto something there, yeah?
I'll have to check the VODs, and like I'll come back to you tomorrow and let you know that. I'll go through the VODs very quickly. But either way, Dancing on that Sergeant Hammer played completely fine. No issues, was barely ever pressured. Excuse me. While the enemy team was all focusing on Tagarash, he was positioned perfectly, just dropping the damage that everyone who was grouped up. You already mentioned in the cast the beautiful synergy between the Cassia and the Sergeant Hammer, massively capitalizing with that Thunder Fury build and the AoEs of Sergeant Hammer onto everyone. So, well done.
Yeah, well done by the entirety of Beyond the Game. But as you said, you know, LLK and Dancing, those two are just so scary to go up against. You can never expect what they're going to show you this time around. They can play mages. They can play the double sustained auto-attacking style that we saw here. They can actually bust out something completely different. You hinted towards the Alarak coming in from LLK every now and then if they wanted to. They even played Illidan there, if I recall correctly. So they have a variety of styles to choose from, and with that sheer individual class on every single role that Beyond the Game currently has, they can execute it quite well all the same.
And so, we head into game number 2. With currently BTG continuing their undefeated streak, can TheOne be the team to finally put a stop to this and shut them down? Infernal Shrines is the map.
Yep.
So Hammer still stays very high up in terms of priority.
Yeah, definitely a good Hammer map. Also, Alexstrasza could be a hero to be prioritized early on here, especially in China. She is enjoying a lot of popularity. We actually saw Druid play a lot of Alexstrasza back in phase 1 here of the second half. So let's see what they're going to come up with. Of course, there's always this support battle oftentimes when you need to take care of white main. Then if you're planning on going for Alexstrasza yourselves, you're going to have to shut down the Decker Kane ideally because of his strong Emerald Cube to prevent all that healing. So let's see what kind of supporting drafting style we see here from those two teams.
Starting off with the Maiev ban from TheOne. BTG with a team to ban it out last time. And BTG, even though it did not win, Genji's still pretty good. So they're just going to remove that. Better safe than sorry. So now what else do you ban out? We're looking at this. We see Diablo removed. But other heroes we need to look at priority-wise. Supports the white main is currently already allowed through. The question is, will BTG be willing to play it? They have, I believe, picked it up. Yes, they have. They have picked it up before. They've only played it once, and they have banned it 7 times. So it's a question of, are TheOne willing to play against it?
That's a good observation there.
Yes.
Has Druid played a lot of white main, enough white main to actually justify an early pick. But honestly, Tetra, I think if Decker Kane is still open, you might actually not have to necessarily put priority on white main that badly. I mean, sure, she's amazing. She's even considered to be a little over the top at the moment by some players. But Decker Kane, if you end up getting that one, you should still be able to handle the game quite well.
So here's the fun part. They have left it over to TheOne if they want to pick it up, and there's a very good reason for this. It's not just Deckard Cain who is still available. Remember the map we're on. Alexstrasza is still open as well, and this is Druid's most played support. 4 games on Alexstrasza, where he only has 1 game on white main, 1 game on Deckard, 1 game on Malf, and 1 game on Stukot. 2 games on Deckard as of this previous series that just happened. Immediately Deckard is stolen away. Now BTG, what do you prioritize more, white main or Straza?
Yeah, and that is the beauty actually here, right? They don't even, like, they can pick a support now without breaking much of a sweat if they really want to secure a specific one. As you said, Tetra, if they want to, you know, execute a drafting plan they've got in mind. But even if they want to keep it more secret, they could even wait for the support actually for the second round there as well. Because if Alexstrasza gets banned, they just pick up the white main and vice versa. But no, they actually show the Alexstrasza early on. Probably doesn't really matter to hide it any longer. So yep, Druid back on the dragon. And the bans are coming through here right now. There's still a little bit of a need here for solo laners. If at this point, with Irel already being banned and taking one of Locktar's most comfortable solo laners, just ban another one. Oh, they go for the Sergeant Hammer.
Yeah. Sergeant Hammer makes sense. We already saw how scary it was in the previous series. And with, like you said, with Yrel banned out, this has been a heavy lean for Loktar, but he still has a couple options. This has already happened to him before. We've already seen him on the Dahaka and the Leoric, in fact. So he does have a little bit of flexibility there. Leoric especially could be great here. We've even seen him... Nope, sorry, that was the A-team against them who snuck out the Artanis. And this is Sneaky by the one, stealing away the Blaze, one of the only 2 other heroes Loktar has shown, leaving him on just Leoric, which is interesting. Leoric is pretty good against Blaze, but it's still limiting a hero pool.
In my opinion, I would just go for Dahaka at this point. Not only is he a great hero, all things considered right now in China, seems to be doing pretty well regularly, especially in the hands of Loktar. Just remember last week those game-winning contagions there at the end of the game. But they go for the Leoric, which, as you said, is a pretty okay choice. No issues whatsoever. In fact, Leoric wins the one-on-one matchup in lane quite heavily against the Blaze, simply because Leoric has Drain Hope, and Blaze's hitbox is pretty thick. So you normally don't have any problems whatsoever really landing that. And Blaze only has so much mobility to really escape from it. And if he has to burn a jet propulsion every single time, that is definitely an efficient trade for Leoric, both in terms of damage and mana.
That it is. And the Leoric, once again, this is one of the few heroes that Loktar has really lent to in times of, well, lack of Yrel, which has only happened twice, as we've already mentioned, once with Dahaka, once with Leoric. So cool to see that coming in here. And it's still pretty reasonable. He's still going to have some good engage targets if he wants to go for Entomb. If not, there is a pretty decent chance he's going to get a good March of the Black King, assuming he can do it after a Nubrak is hard engaged.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited. Like, Leoric quickly becomes one of my favorite heroes to cast and watch, simply because he's been in the game for so long. He hasn't really been changed majorly over the last few months and years, right? He did receive a rework, I think last year it was, and ever since then he's remained largely the same. And he's kind of like that disappearing hero that, you know, isn't really played at all, and then when some teams decide it's time to bust out the Leoric again to counter certain other new heroes, then he's doing admirably well. So let's see what Leoric can do. He's always one of those playmakers, especially in the late game, with a nicely timed and placed Entomb. You can make so much happen. But as it is, ladies and gentlemen, we're diving into the action. Game number 2 stands ready, and we're going to Infernal Science.
This should be great. The amount of protection and healing on the side of the one is pretty insane. They have great slows to set up for Phoenix and Reyna, but will it be enough? As spawning on the left-hand side, once again, is Beyond the Game. Playing for them, 619, LLK, Druid, Dancing, and Loktar.
And facing them is the one, currently down 0-1 with Hugo, Keshi, Meng, ZJZ, and Huhu on a Nubarak this time. Actually, one of 619's favorite tanks as well. We remember the plays he made last year on that hero. So the same can be said about Huhu, though. China has, you know, trusted, or has been trusting the Beetle King a little more now compared to last year.
I mean, there's some fantastic dive targets if they can get past Leoric, who doesn't actually offer that much peeling. Neither does Muradin, in fact. So they could be in Kael'thas and Hanzo, especially, even Alexstrasza to a degree, could be in serious trouble if Blaze and a Nubrak are able to get onto them. So it's going to maybe just be up to Muradin and Leoric to zone away Reyna and Phoenix, just so that the backliners have at least a 1v1 and have a little bit more chance of surviving without getting dove on, having no chance of escape, and still eating damage from the backline.
And you mentioned the diving potential by Nubrak. I think he also brings something else to the table, which would be interrupts, right? He's got 2 stuns built into his kit. He even will have the cocoon later on. So if you use that on Alexstrasza at the right time, the right moment, not only can you potentially interrupt the Dragon Queen or the Cleansing Flame from going off, but even if the Dragon Queen makes it all the way through, you just drop a cocoon on her and she will have wasted a couple of precious seconds off that very powerful trait.
Yeah, look at the heroes that can interrupt the cocoon here, or could kill off the cocoon. We're looking at Kael'thas. If he drops a living bomb on it, it's still ticking damage over time, but it's not the fastest tick. Or a good angled Hanzo scatter arrow, as each one counts its own individual bit of damage. If you aim that perfectly, it will just wreck a cocoon. But you need to hope that the hero that's in the cocoon is at the right angle to have a wall to be able to play that off of.
Yeah, absolutely true. So, you know, when KT or Kel'Thas, if he happens to have those living bombs on cooldown, for example, even if he only drops one, that's still going to take some significant time for the cocoon to expire and pop. So, for now already, I like the lane distribution a lot more by the one. Hold that thought, cast occurs, Raynor in trouble, the slow is there, the root as well, and boom, down he goes.
Nice kill there. This is the joy of Kel'Thas, how he used to be used back in the day. Part of any roaming gank squad, he will be effective, as he does have follow-up crowd control, something that almost no assassin actually has these days.
Very correct. He makes up for the lack of mobility by keeping enemies at bay or even enabling those aggressive ganks early on with other stunners like Muradin. Really cool to see that. So already the Kel'Thas value noticeable for sure, but look at all of that action and pressure the one was able to, you know, apply into the top lane. They realized, you know what, we have a gank going on the bottom, so let's send some heroes on the opposite side of the map, try to take some towers out early, and that's the reason why they actually keep that experience gap relatively low. In fact, they're quite dead even at the moment. First blood, however, Tetra happened a lot more early than compared to game number 1 here on Volskaya, so there might be more action going down in the short run.
Level 4 talents are finally all locked in, as the BTG, a couple of them were delayed. We have those Neil Peasants. Starting off with the Q talent for Alexstrasza, but going with that extra movement speed, Exuberance coming in here. So very interesting to see. Wants to give Leoric potentially a chance to move to the backline, and of course give Kel'Thas a chance to escape. Kel'Thas not going for the Energy Royal, instead sticking with Netherwind, so wants a more long distance engage.
Strong position here right now by the one. Look at all that damage that they were able to get done here. Leoric now being the focus target. Anubrak needs to be careful, especially with that Dragon Queen hitting quite hard for support. LLK in trouble, takes even additional damage from the Keshi Phoenix, and I think BTG, they have to retreat. They don't take casualties, but they're definitely bullied out of position here by the one. Good hold for them. The first objective already secured by them. That is a much better start for them than compared to game 1.
Really is very nicely done, at least for the time being, able to hold the line and grab that first Punisher of the game. Now, how much can they capitalize on this? They already have pretty much everyone here except for Blaze, who's clearing up the Fallen Shaman camp in the top lane, as they are actually bringing everyone else into this lane. Who's going to be the pull? It's going to be 619, obviously. It's going to eat all the crowd control, but here's Muradin. He will tank this very effectively.
Okay, look at Huohu not really showing any signs of respect nor fear onto the enemy heroes right now. Actually walking in very deep. He's got 3 allies behind him. Rallied though next to the Punisher as well. LLK actually had to feel the pain by that Mortar Punisher. Looks like 619 is actively trying to prevent that ward from falling, and they do so successfully. There goes a Emerald Cube for good measure to keep those Hellfires low, because keep in mind, if Alexstrasza wants to heal someone without using her Abundance, he's actually going to have to sacrifice health in the meantime. So the more you actually shut her down herself, the more healing you'll also prevent on her allies.
We see the Blossom coming in for Alexstrasza, so at least she doesn't have to spend as much health anymore.
Yeah, if she picks up the flower.
Doing her best Lily impression. We do also see these. I feel like, no, that was Brightwing. ZJZ currently holding the line at 619. Does dive, but backs up. This dive took too long. Gave Blaze a chance to rotate. Both the stuns missed. Great dodges by 619. Able to play around this.
Yeah, that was some last-second save for Muradin. If either of those 2 crowd control abilities, either the Jet Propulsion or the Bird Charge, would have connected, that would have been a dead dwarf almost 100% here. But as it is, beyond the game, although they are currently the ones leading in kills, I think the ones leading in experience and map pressure is actually the one.
They're holding it together. They are approaching level 10 quicker. Certainly good escape by Anubrak.
Yep.
But once level 10s are on the board, this is where we could start to see the value of BTG's coming in. But for starters, we are seeing Sun King's Fury coming in for the Kel'Thas, not going for that auto-attack empowerment that has become so popular these days in terms of Kel'Thas builds.
Especially when facing an Anubrak, right? I mean, Kel'Thas is not known to be a heavy hitter, but as you said, with the help of that talent build, he can actually dish out some surprising extra damage with auto attacks onto Anubrak, which auto attacks, you know, still are his big weakness. Look at Hugo going low already.
619 dropping very low, eats a quick heal and is fine. Also, I'd like to point out the absurdity that Blaze was dying due to being on fire, so he saved himself by putting himself on fire. Very an interesting mechanic there. But overall, Noctar, he holds top lane, drains against Keshi, but once again, Phoenix versus most melee solo laners, as you can see, will have a pretty reasonable time, as level 10 is hit much quicker for the One as they take down the first fort of the game.
And you know what, Tetra? I was criticizing the lane distribution setup by the One in game number 1, with Genji being the solo laner and the rest really not being able to get anything done. This time around, they actually did the opposite. They let the original solo laner, which is supposed to be Blaze, stay with the rotations, and they send Phoenix into the solo versus Leoric. As you said, has an easy time outranging him, an easy time poking him all the time. So this time the One has definitely stepped up not only their draft, in my opinion, but also their early game and how they tackle it. Super cool to see the adaptation and the rewards and the perks they reap of it.
Hugo already making his way down. 5-0 in favor of the One, as they are the ones starting this in advance. March of the Black King is being chosen by Loktar. BTG, can he make the plays with this? He's already moving forward aggressively. Looking for his opportunity to just at least steal away some skeletons. And has already done a good job there. 19-11 in favor of the One.
That was a big emerald here, denying so much healing by Alexstrasza. And now on cooldown though, there goes the Dragon Queen. AoE healing is real, but so is the damage by Keshi onto Phoenix.
Cleansing Flame is really good, keeping LLK alive. Loktar is kind of a load here. He's already used March of the Black King, getting it himself worked down. He will Wraith Walk here, and they will pop Alexstrasza out of this cocoon. This will be a Punisher once again going over to the One. But BTG, they kept everyone alive despite a very good engage by the One.
And it's actually crazy. Everybody by Beyond the Game is now currently on full health. And as you said, Leoric, I thought him dead for sure. But now, with that Punisher, 619 is baiting it over the wall as he's supposed to do so, as Murden, as the main tank. Yeah, they're going to get rid of this pretty quickly, but look at Huhoman. Oh my goodness, no fear. Diving into the enemy team's backlines just to zone them out and keep them away from the fort. And with all his efforts there, they might be able to get there.
The fort goes down. Defense of BTG, not enough. And like you said, the One looking really solid today. Able to hold everything together. And they are moving into a position where they're able to move onto the opponent's side of the map and steal their objectives as well. 619 will at least try and put some pressure on, but he's immediately shut down and denied by Meng.
And Tetra, it looks like the One has been able to accomplish what and achieve what many teams before them weren't able to do. They take down structure, not just one, but two already. They're breaking the flawless, perfect, no structures lost streak by Beyond the Game. Keshi in trouble, escapes for now. The stun is good though. Can they follow it up with something here? I actually expected a Hanzo Dragon's Arrow, but it looks like Hanzo was too far away to actually make that work. Would have definitely been a gamble, and they rather not waste the cooldown if the Dragon's Arrow actually lands. Doesn't land, sorry.
Exactly, all heroics held for both teams. Everyone was rotating away from this lane for BTG, but everyone from the One shows up, so an immediate rotation. Good damage onto Huho as it forces him to burn that Burrow Charge to escape, gaining that subterranean shield.
It also means, though, that Beyond the Game has currently 5 people defending this fort, which means their split soaking in the middle and bottom is basically non-existent. Now they see Leoric in the middle, and they're trying to make something happen here with an aggressive Burrow Charge from Kuku. The potions are there to keep him safe and sound for now, though. If there's one player that I really want to highlight by the One right now, it is Keshi. I think that Phoenix is absolutely demolishing people in those team fights. So much good AoE damage coming in from both his auto attacks and the salvo.
Exactly, and also we already saw how he was able to really punish Loktar in lane just due to being a ranged hero, and being able to put that kind of pressure on is the kind of thing that means this front wall was already down when the rest of the team came to do this, so this is a much easier fort to take for the One. They just hovered up here, bought their time, and as such, another fort goes down. All 3 forts, in fact, down for BTG, so they are in serious trouble.
Yeah, not only do they lose a lot of momentum and experience because of that fact, but they also seem to be kind of sleepy, kind of slow here on that rotation to keep that top lane safe. Look at that. They actually lost that tower already. Looks like Hugo has to get rid of these Impalers at some point. The next altar will spawn in the top lane. We have Dragon Queen ready, if I'm not mistaken. The cooldown should have actually been replenished.
Should be, yeah.
So yeah, all the tools available for Beyond the Game, but This is, once again, Tetra, not your average China game. Look at that, still 1 kill only happening here. Gone are the days in which we see the brawls all the day, 24/7. This is a very, very slow, methodical game, once again.
BTG, they begin to take position up in top lane. This time, for the first time, they get here first.
Yep.
And they're going to start to burn this down. Going to make the most of that, Leoric especially. Let's get to swing. 619 needs to be very careful of his position. You can see Blaze is prepared. They get the immediate stun. Avatar is in time. Dwarf toss out. Tank through it. Doesn't get in the abundance. Lord Nado on 619, who's completely isolated. Cleansing flame, keeping him alive, but the Phoenix damage is just too much. Cocoon onto Hanzo, completely isolates him as well, denies the damage. Here comes the salvo, and down goes Hanzo.
And that is exactly why I like Decker Kane into Alexstrasza. Down goes the March of the Black King. Down goes Lokhtar as well. Not sure if that was really necessary, but the Emerald Cube on that target that you want to focus down, even if it's a Murden. Guess what? On the Murden in particular, it receives so much value. No healing static value. No healing value from Alexstrasza whatsoever. And it doesn't get better. At 16, he's probably going to pick up Stone Skin, or he normally would have. Probably not even going for that anymore, because that is also being affected by the anti-healing from Emerald Cube. So the one with Decker Kane, ZJ's, that's perfect timing on those abilities, just really making sure they win yet another Punisher. And guess what? This is an Arcane one. This is the most lethal one on the top lane as well.
And the one, they've already lost their undefeated in terms of structures. Sorry, BTG have already lost their undefeated structure streak due to all 3 forts already being down. So now the question is, can they keep their undefeated win streak alive? Because they haven't even taken a single fort of the ones.
Yeah.
The one are beginning to move in here. They're going to try and make an aggressive play onto the first keep.
No 16 here yet for Beyond the Game. They need to be super careful by even, baiting this Punisher. I think Murden's probably going to try to bait it over to the middle, so he will distract this Punisher from actually attacking into this top lane. No, it's actually Lokhtar who is baiting it over with Wraith Walk. I think Murden was probably too afraid of actually getting stunned, chain stunned here. So even the mighty Murden as the main tank probably couldn't have withstood all that pressure. And now look at that. The core is open. They're going for it right at the get-go.
Cleansing Flame dropped very early here. Hanzo's in the cocoon. The Punisher is dropping low. Dancing gets salvoed, but he's got his shield on. Keeps him alive, but the core goes down. And the one break the streak of BTG. Able to take this to a 1-1.
Absolutely true. The one, they're back in town, baby. After going down without really being able to put much of a fight there in game number 1. They bounce back in game 2, and not only do they win this game, but they also destroy the streak of Beyond the Game. Super cool to see how they were able to recuperate within the series, which is not always an easy thing to do. I'm not sure if Beyond the Game was actually on point there this time around. I think their draft looked fine for the most part. It was just that the Leoric maybe not tanky enough in that early game. You could really see that Lokhtar was nearly as impactful as he was with that Irel. Just hard to say one wrong for them, to be honest. It was just the one being just one step closer, one step ahead all the time.
Yes, they were, and that was incredibly solid. You have to wonder, looking at that draft, for starters, was March of the Black King the right choice?
Yes.
Would they have maybe been able to get something a little bit more value with an Entomb? And for second, was Alexstrasza the right choice? We saw a lot of focus onto the cocoons. The burst healing from the Cleansing Flame was not enough in a lot of cases. Would have Whitemane have kept them alive more efficiently and given them the better shrine fights? We don't know, obviously, but you've got to wonder about those questions and wonder about the focus of the Alexstrasza, the Druid comfort pick. Is it always going to be useful?
Emerald Cube is just so good against Alexstrasza. You drop that into an abundant circle. You even drop the Lornado onto the Dragon Queen, and Alexstrasza is even going to struggle to be in that location that he wants to be in the first place. Guess what? If you pick a Whitemane into this, sure, you're still going to struggle in terms of raw healing, but what does she have? Scarlet Age has 40 armor. That is not affected by the anti-healing in the slightest. So I think maybe with that at their side, they could have been able to keep people alive a little bit longer. And that, Tetra, you said that during the draft, right? They banned 7 times the Whitemane, BTG that is. So that really speaks for Druid kind of either not respecting, liking, feeling comfortable in that hero, and that's something they need to work on.
We already mentioned, he has played it. He just didn't play it this time for some reason. When he last played it, it was against CE, so not even against an easy team. And this was a difficult matchup for them. And he played it on Volskaya Foundry, another reasonable Alexstrasza map. I could only assume Strasza was banned because we just know how much he prioritizes it.
Maybe, yeah. You know what, Tetcher? So obviously I want those games to be as close as possible, right? Obviously, the more 1-1s we see, the more it actually, you know, fires up the league because we see that both teams have what it takes to take points. However, I'm slightly disappointed in Beyond the Game because, and also worried about them now as a team and maybe even China as a region, because if we see them getting more 1-1s in there, maybe even against SBT later, that means that their dominance, their consistency may have also come to a stop. And what I want in China right now is a clear, cookie-cutter clear #1 team that dominates everything and everyone else, so they may maybe get a chance against Korean, European, NA teams at BlizzCon.
Yeah, as much as I would like to think that TheOne and BTG are both growing at the same rate, but the first game looked like a convincing BTG team. The second one was a situation where they seemed just to not know what to do, and it didn't work.
And that's, I think, what we need in China right now. We need a team that always knows what to do, that always knows how to make the best of any situation to outplay, out-macro, out-draft their opponents, because that's really what China is lacking right now. It's not the team fights, it's not the individual class. It is all about drafting and playing around the maps. Either way, guys, still a cool game to watch. Still cool to see that TheOne is not just a punching bag for BTG. Not really the highest of kill counts, but still pretty cool tactical play by TheOne.
It was very cool tactical play by TheOne, and yeah, they were able to take every objective. It was really solid. Their PvE was very effective, and their punishment of Loktar on that solo lane was also really good. So, yeah, good job. And Huhe gets the MVP, the Anubarak, usually a very vulnerable hero to burst comps. The lack of burst on the side of BTG was very obvious, even with a hero like Kael'thas. Anubarak with consistent spell armor when he drops that shield, which he had up basically constantly, was really good.
Yep. And not just, you know, the amount of protection that Anubarak has against mages, also the beetles, you know, intercepting those flames, stuns, gravity lapses, whatever. Super cool to see that Anubarak not only doing well in Korea and other regions, but also seems to have a little bit more of an impact in China as well. That being said, though, Tetcher, that was our first game of the day. Already quite the nail-biter, but we're going to have more series, 5 to be exact, coming up our sleeves. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in a few minutes from now with game number 2 of this day 1 in week 2. Talk to you in a bit.